An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Benjamin Franklin. And old Ben is just repeating what we say over and over here on the show. You've got to invest in knowledge of how these markets work. 10 to 15 minutes a day is all we ask. This is the comprehensive review and forecast. Let's jump into these charts. We see everything on our four big charts up for the day. Bitcoin down a little bit, real estate down some. Oil up the biggest, 3.40%. We'll get to all that stuff. Now we do have the first in our three-part training coming out today. Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way for all of you who are subscribers. If you're not a subscriber, you need to jump on board. Go to chartingwealth.com, sign up. It's free. You'll get the best options training on the internet. It is simple, it is direct, it is what you need to understand options. Of course, the big thing though is to be able to read stock charts. If you can't do that, you're sort of wasting your time worrying about options. Let's jump in to these charts, see what there is to see. And for some reason, as I look at my charts originally, they are not populating with my trend lines and my crossovers. So we will repopulate that. And bingo! Is it going to give me what I need? Come on, baby. Come on. There we go. Yay! I love freestockcharts.com and TC2000. It's what we use. They are beautiful. I'd had the computer running for a while and switched from programs. If that happens to you, just reboot it. You saw how quickly it happened and you got everything you need. What do we see going on? We see the week finishing with a nice green up candle. S&P 500 up for the day about 0.5%. Remember, when we look at that weekly chart, we had that weekly vertical crossover on the S&P back on the 8th of May. That second week got us a little worried because it was a green spinning top, didn't really do much, popped up the week ending the 22nd of May, and of course this last week in May, the 29th, another good one, our jumping in point somewhere around the 286 mark, and boom, how high did we go? 306.84. Is that good enough for you in 3 weeks? It ought to be. Beautiful. So that's where we are as we end the week. Price percent oscillator just slamming up along with the derivative oscillator. Go to the 2-day chart, going up nicely. And of course, we see this latest 2-day candle representing Thursday and Friday, moving up nicely also, price well above the 2-day and the weekly. We go to that 4-hour chart. What do we see there? Well, we see where things topped on Thursday afternoon and then sort of moved over. Although it was up for the day, these are Heiken Ashi candlesticks. We see things trudge down in the morning, but then recovered a little bit in the afternoon as far as the price percent oscillator heading up just barely. Derivative oscillator, of course, peaked there both in the morning and the afternoon on Thursday, and then is losing momentum, has pushed through that 4-hour, which is the weakest of all our trend lines, still well above the weekly and the 2-day. So that's where we are on the S&P. Our weekly vertical crossover still in effect, looking beautiful. Now, we leave the S&P 500, go to QQQ, which is the Nasdaq 100, the tech stocks. What do we see going on there? Well, we see on our tech stocks, we look at the weekly chart. We had that weekly vertical crossover back on the 1st of May, and the jumping in point somewhere around the 215 mark with a high of 233.16. So what is that? Right at $17, $18 over the course of 1, 2, 3, now 4 weeks. Pretty sweet, is it not? Go to the 2-day chart. We see where the price percent oscillator is heading up. We have a green up candle reaching, let's see, the high 233.60, the prior high 233.57, a little higher by 3 cents. Derivative oscillator gaining upward momentum, price percent oscillator heading up. Go to that 2-day chart, going from the 2-day to the 4-hour. Still not quite crossed over, going up yet. We'll continue to watch. And again, that's our weakest chart. We use that to help us out. It is the 4-hour chart, but again, remember, we jump into a trade. The main thing that we pay attention to is always our bigger charts, the weekly and the 2-day. And you know, for some reason, I am not getting, I'll try one more time. Could be my internet connection, but I'm trying to get all of my bands on here. And maybe I just need to reboot my computer on a Friday afternoon. It has been working hard for me all day, and it is just not go. There we go. Thank you. It popped right up for me. What do we see going on with our weekly vertical crossover going down from last Friday, the 22nd of May? What do we see going on there? We see the price percent oscillator gaining downward momentum, derivative oscillator heading down. We have a down candle that's forming. Haven't reached the lower low we reached a few weeks ago, but again, that was before our crossover. Crossover is working well for us still. Go to the 2-day, still headed down. That was up for the day, 0.71%. Oh, by the way, the Q's up 1.51%. We see that we have a red down candle that has formed over the last 2 days, price below the 2-day and the weekly. Price percent oscillator heading down, derivative oscillator losing downward momentum. 4-hour chart, that's where we see where things bottomed up in the morning. Up more in the afternoon, but pulling back. Hasn't crossed over, going up. So we'll continue to pay attention. Price is below the 2-day and the 4-hour, or the 2-day and the weekly, as it should be. So we'll continue. We still have that in effect for TLT. It has done us well. Lastly, we go to gold, hoping to see something happen in gold. But look at this lackluster week, a red doji pretty much. Right there on the weekly trend line, not crossing over, going down. Price percent oscillator headed down, derivative oscillator losing some momentum, but gold's just not sorted itself out yet. A bit schizophrenic, weekly still in a confirmed uptrend. 2 days in a confirmed downtrend. Go to that 2-day and check it out. Still headed down, price percent oscillator moving down, derivative oscillator gaining downward momentum. That latest 2-day candle, green spinning top, indecision, tending up. We see sitting right there on the weekly trend line. Go to the 4-hour chart from the 2-day. See where things bottomed in gold on Wednesday morning of this past week and heading up pretty much since then. So gold's not giving us a trade at this time, but that's okay. We got plenty of action in the S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100, and 20-year bonds. And they have done us righteous. They've done us righteous. So let's move on. That is where we are as we wrap up the week. That's what we see right now. All of both our stock moves and TLT moving in the right direction. Stocks up, TLT down. That's bonds, should be down. Remember, if you've jumped into that trade, of course, the inverse fund for bonds, TBF, which is ProShares short. That is a short, single short fund. I'm going to put the training at the end of the video today for you on inverse funds, how to successfully practice trade when markets crash. Also, the information, those of you who are subscribers that are learning that don't already know it, on how to trade options and practice trade those, you will learn from that how to buy puts and practice trade those. That's also how you make money in the stock market when things are going down. So we want you to learn and practice trade that. Again, if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe, because parts 2 and 3, primarily 3, that's the big kahuna that really gives you the down and dirty on bonds. You need to get it, and you can. Just sign up at chartingwealth.com. Hadn't purchased our book? Do so. Follow the link in the show notes. Let's jump into Bitcoin, down 0.22% for the day. Now again, what is Bitcoin doing? What were we hoping it was going to do for us? Well, we look at the weekly chart. We can see that it is sort of lackluster, peaked all the way back on the 8th of May, slid sideways since then, into the week with a red doji, indecision, tending down, price percent oscillator still going up, derivative oscillator gaining upward momentum. 2-day chart, see that sideways slide. It had been down for 6 days. Now this latest candle is an up candle, so that's good. What do we see with the 4-hour chart? We were so hoping to have it cross over in the morning or afternoon. What did it do? It just stalled on us, down 0.22%. Just doesn't want to cross over and at least give you a chance. And again, the least likely, not the least likely to be successful, but the one of course, the weekly vertical crossover is what we care about the most. Those are so many times the best time to get in because you have a huge change in trend. A 2-day recross, another big one. That is when the 2-day has moved in opposition to the weekly, but then moves back in the same direction. When that crosses, another good one. The 4-hour is a little more hairy, but we were hoping to at least have a chance to ride up some of the up movement in Bitcoin, but the 4-hour just won't cross. Keep your eye on it. Maybe something will happen on Monday as we get into the new week. Let's go to real estate, down 1%, just a flat 1% for the day. What did we have happen though? We told you yesterday to watch for this at the end of the day on Friday. Might have an opportunity to jump into real estate. We do have a confirmed weekly vertical crossover. No matter what people say about what's going on, that actually happened. Although real estate down for the day, it was our biggest downer, 1%. Not a huge down day, but we do have a green up candle and a crossover on the weekly chart. We go to the 2-day. Let's see what the weaknesses are there. Well, we didn't hit a higher high, but we did have a green up candle regardless of it being down on Friday. Derivative oscillator gaining upward momentum. Price percent oscillator heading up, losing a little bit of its energy, but still heading up. That's the 2-day. What does the 4-hour show us? Well, 4-hour shows us where things topped. Back on Thursday morning, little down, pull back on Thursday afternoon, down in the morning on Friday, green spinning top Friday afternoon. How many of you pulled the trigger on real estate nonetheless? If you didn't, then that's fine. If it's iffy and you are concerned about it and want to just wait, that is no problem at all. You can wait and see how real estate shakes out as we get into the new week. I will tell you, though, the fact that the 4-hour still heading up, still positive, and the 2-day still positive, and that weekly crossing over, we'll watch. Maybe a pullback on Monday or so. It might have that weekend effect, or what we call the Monday effect, working for you. We'll continue to watch and see. Those of you who did, do a practice trade on that. Follow that. See how your practice option or just your practice purchase of VNQ, the Vanguard Real Estate Investment Trust Exchange Traded Fund, goes for you over this next week. We'll be tracking it with you. We leave now real estate, go to black gold, go to oil, USO, booming up for the day, 3.40%. Don't have a crossover on that weekly chart. Price percent oscillator is about flat. Derivative oscillators trying to go green. That's good to see. Would like to see oil recover some. And what do we see on the 2-day chart? Well, it crossed over back on the 19th. Derivative oscillators flattening out. Price percent oscillator is really just sideways sliding, so we'll continue to watch, see what there is to see there. 4-hour chart. We didn't have much happen in the morning. All the action happened in the afternoon. But that price percent oscillator, still negative. Derivative oscillator, still negative. That's where we are with oil. That's where we are with everything. We've wrapped it up. Hey, those of you who are Patreon supporters, don't forget our live question and answer session is going to be taking place this next Wednesday, the 3rd of June, 12:30 Eastern Daylight Time here in the States. Look forward to speaking with all of you around the world, all of our Patreon supporters. We really appreciate you. If you're not one, want to be one, starts for as little as $30 a month, $1 a day. Are we worth that to you? I sure hope so. If so, you get all those special trainings, the Bitcoin training, the short chart training, the long chart training, all the stuff about entry and exit points, all the great things we have for you, plus that live question and answer training session once a month. Don't forget, this Wednesday, 12:30. Can't wait to have you with me. Patreon members, go ahead and start sending in your questions and the ETFs and stocks you want us to explore and do some training on. Thank you so much, my friends. God bless. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.